We wanted to learn more about Cherokee art and how it was being used to preserve the culture of natives as well as educate non-natives. So we went to Oklahoma.
We went to the Cherokee Arts Center and we interviewed Matthew Anderson and Crystal Walters, and this is what we learned from them.
One way that the Cherokee are balancing traditional art and contemporary practices is through this Glowforge laser cutter. This machine can be used for all sorts of mediums. It can cut and etch wood, leather, copper, and acrylic. Crystal Walters, an employee and artist who has a degree in graphic design and focuses mainly on printmaking, gave us a tour of the machine. She said that some of the artists want to use it to carve stamps to be used on traditional pottery. She mentioned that she also wanted to upload her art and have the Glowforge etch it onto some copper plates and use them for printmaking.
While interviewing Walters, she stated some of the artists don't like the Glowforge, but this is the time that we live in. She explained that this is because they believe it takes away from the traditional methods of creating art. The Glowforge machine is being used to create traditional art while implementing more modern techniques and tools to do so.
Here are a few examples of what Walters cut. She made a couple different pairs of earrings. She also cut some acrylic while we were there.
This is used to make earrings, little barbs on it, and they can kind of stick in your lungs.
Oh.
And it's also a neurotoxin, so you'll die, but you're happy about it. So, I should die like this more often. All right, so this is just a lapidary tool. It's like diamond embedded blade, so there's no teeth on this. Now, if I were to press my hand against it, I could grind my nails down. I could, but it doesn't cut you. But this is the fun part. So everybody can see this, but they don't know that underneath is more of that. So in the old day, this would be something that we would do by the water, and you could use sandstone. And so you find one that has a rough grit on it, one that has a finer grit, and then one that's really slick. And you could polish this until it shines. I'll rinse it off so you can see a little bit more what we've uncovered. You find the match, and you could cut these teardrops out, and you could have dangle earrings that match. In '88, it was renamed Mankiller Shell, and it was named after our chief, Wilma Mankiller. A long time ago, things weren't made because it was pretty. It was made for protection. So the artisan who was creating that, as they didn't have a lapidary powered tool to do that. So it was a lot of handwork. Mm-hmm. So a lot of prayer went into everything that they made, and those prayers were then transferred to the individual who wore it. They're just little pinch pots that they turned into animal effigies or bird effigies. Now, this is done in an electric kiln, so it just looks like a terracotta pot that you find at the hardware store. But I can still make this look like a traditional fired pot by flash firing it in like pine needles or something like that. And would y'all like to see what the fire really does to it? So it leaves carbon trappings in the pores of the clay, and it changes the color and appearance. I can burn that here even when the wind is blowing and not have to worry about it getting carried off. Now, if we were doing this in the old way, and I still do a lot of my stuff primitive style, we will gather clay that we've found and get all this rocks and sticks and stuff out, and then usually what I'll do is I will add some sand, mix it all up, and then once it's dried, we'll build a fire and we'll put wood all the way over it, because in order for that to no longer be clay, it has to reach about 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can't do this in the kitchen. It's not something that will happen on the stove or in the oven. It requires high heat. But you can see that light red color is starting to change already as the fire, as the carbon is released from that organic material, and it's now trapped in the clay. But so you can already see the difference that fire actually makes. And I think I'm going to leave that for just a second. We're going to go rinse this off.
All right.
Loose soot that's on here. So I'm just going to get that off. And then the other color that's on there will remain. It's trapped in the pores of the clay. So it only permeates the exterior. It doesn't go very deep. But the carbon trappings that are on this now will be there until I burn them out again. I could burn them out if I wanted to. This is called finger weaving. So finger weaving was one of our first textiles. It was made to go around the waist twice and tie and hang. And only the men would wear this. The women are the only ones that can own property, and so they owned the house and the garden that was beside the house. It was the men's responsibility to bring in things from the outside. So this is what we used when we didn't have, before we had 5-pocket denim jeans.
Right.
So if I wrapped that around my waist twice and then tied, you could take your hatchet. Let's see, we'll go this way. And then run with it.
Yeah, cool.
The other thing that this served purpose for was after game was taken down, you could put a loop on one end, cut the deer, cut the meat, remove the bone, say your prayers, leave the intestines, and wrap it back up in the hide, and then you could tie all of that up, and you have your 2 loops on each side of your pack. So now it's a rucksack, which you can then pack the meat
That's so
back.
cool.
So that's one of our first methods. Another method that we had was called twining. Also, it was made for the men. They carried their tools in those. This one's called open face, and this one's called closed face weaving. So I think one of the things that we can do here through Cherokee Art specifically is to help people realize the difference between our tribes. So we are forced to recognize European people as individual nations, even ones that are on the same continent, who are actually cousins, So they're all related, and they still fight. So John Wayne in Hollywood have done Native Americans a disservice by lumping everyone into this one generic box that says, oh, you're an American Indian. There's 600 nations here. So art is an ideal educational tool to illustrate those differences. Even neighbors are different. Cherokees are completely different from our Choctaw neighbors. Choctaws are different from the Chickasaw Nation, even though they're actually brothers.
For free? For free?
Get those for $100. Oh yeah, wait, for $100.
$100.
You gotta move so you can tell that he's recording.
Whoa!
Halo!
Whew, all right.
Got this.
Shut up, Kobe. else's patience.
It's recording. Do we have to do it in front of this whiteboard?
I have a headache.
Yeah?
Okay. Video, please, where we just put in Jake's commentary and you're laughing. No.
Hey, shut up. Okay, we're gonna do the thing now, okay? Shh. Okay. We wanted to learn more.